We will now move on to our visitors. And Ms. Schmidt, do we have visitors this evening?
Good evening, Mayor. Yes, we do have speaker cards presented this evening. First one would be from Cheryl Bodie, 2315 Windsor Drive.
Very good. Come forward, please. And how are you?
Just we know what I'm here about. Lookout Transfer Station again.
Yeah.
And, I had some news recently that we're not going to get the numbers that we've been waiting for, I don't know, a couple of years, it feels like. Been definitely a year, that they won't be shared with us until it's been presented to council, and that kind of feels like we've been shut out. We've been in this communication. This is the one thing we've been waiting for. And so I just wanted to kind of do a real quick recap. I know y'all are in a hurry. But, in the beginning, in 2002 or 2001, the district states clearly that they had excess transfer station capacity as a whole. The problem was the distribution to Lookout. Mm-hmm. So this is what we've been talking about the whole time, is that there are several ways they could have approached this to reallocate the waste, impact fee structures on people bringing in waste from outside area, evaluation of collection contracts and franchise agreements that would affect the flow control, actual modification to Plano and Custer, of which we know Custer's been modified. But other than that, there's been anything addressed on that level that I'm aware of. I've seen no reports, nothing that's come across. So, Lookout is the preferred station for commercial waste when it gets rebuilt. That's exactly what it's still going to be. There will be nothing that has changed the situation of the distribution problem that we have. It'll just get worse because we'll be the only game in town. And these numbers are a huge factor. And what good are the numbers if they haven't even fixed the distribution problem anyway? I mean, what's the point if you don't address the issue of disproportionate waste coming to Richardson? So, that is my really big beef. And when you do that, it's the same guys doing the projections that did it, 2001, 2005, and the projections are all wrong. And so, when we do this, we're still looking at making us the only game in town. Nothing has changed. We're just going to be bigger and better and able to handle more. And there's still nothing being done. There's one thing I do want to say. When you talk about it, when we had the public forum in June, the district said they wouldn't build the fourth station until it seemed necessary. Well, what's going to make it necessary? I had a meeting with one of the city staff people, and he told me that lots was being planned for a complete build-out for years and years to come, for all the cities. So it's going to take care of the mother load and what is going to make the district want to do the other things once this is approved and in full swing. And, what will happen, since they've been talking about this since 2001, no changes have been made, only rebuild Lookout, except for the one modification. And we've been talking about it. They should have talked to us back then. Nobody talked to the public then. We feel like we're being shut out again. And what's going to make any difference when it took them how many years just to get to the point of putting Lookout to be rebuilt? How many years do you think it'll take before the fourth station? 2 decades? 3? And what will happen to Lookout at that point in time? It's going to be same story, history repeated. We're going to sit in Richardson carrying the trash load for the district. And it's very unfair, and I hope you all take a really good look at this. And we've already asked for these numbers, and now we're not going to get them. We're going to have 30 days to reply, or 3 weeks for a hearing or whatever after that is formally presented, and that'll happen during the holidays. Another feel like shutout situation. So I want you all to think real hard before you let anything get out past you.
Thank you, Ms. Bodie. Appreciate it. Just clarification. Go ahead, that's fine. I just wanted to make one comment here briefly. One clarification I would make is I don't look at this as shutting anyone out. The whole idea is that the city council will get the data the same time the neighborhood and anyone else who's interested in this will get the data. We'll have a meeting. Staff of both the district and the city of Richardson will present this data. We'll have a chance to work on that with our staff. The neighborhood association interaction will continue. We've moved. We'll set another meeting out in time. We won't do it over Christmas, but we'll do it sometime so that you guys and we feel like we have enough time to look at it. Then we'll have a hearing on it in this council chamber, or a larger one if we need to. But we will have a hearing and we'll talk about it. And we want to actually be in a position to work with the district and our staff to come up with something that makes sense. We don't want to have a disproportionate load anywhere. We really want to make this work out well, and just give us a chance to present it, and give us a chance to work on this together. It just seems to make sense that way, and I feel quite comfortable with the strategy we have going now. Hopefully that'll work, and you'll be happy with it as well. So thank you. Do we have any other visitors?
Yes, Mayor. The next speaker is Matri Smith-Hausler,
Okay.
220 Victoria Lane.
Marjorie Smith-Heisler, just for clarification. And I'm here on behalf of the Neighborhoods Protection Alliance of Richardson, which is a newly formed organization of various neighborhoods that are really concerned about the trash station. And we do understand the figures are in. We're very excited about that. And we did file an open record request just because we're real excited, and we were really hoping to see them as soon as possible because we were under the...
So are we.
We were under the impression that we were going to get to see them as soon as they came in. So, but the only thing I want to say
Let
today...
me just say one thing.
Yeah.
You will see them the same time we do. We're not trying to hold anything back from you. Okay, go ahead.
Is just, and I appreciate what you said about the holidays, because that is a concern for us. You know, everybody wants to enjoy the holidays, and in order to have full opportunity for everybody to really put their energy into discussing this and coming together on this issue, the attention it deserves, we really would like to ask the council to have that open meeting that we're all looking forward to, and we do thank you for that, in January after the holidays, so we can really do due diligence to the task at hand. So we appreciate that. And that's
I don't know when we'll have. I didn't commit to that. I just said
you said not during the holidays.
Well, I meant not. I said not during Christmas. Keep going.
Okay. Well, we would like to see it in January.
Fine.
So
We'll
we really
see.
appreciate that, because then, we'll have the ability to give our full attention to it, everybody that's very interested in this.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Our next speaker would be Barry Hand, 710 Laguna.
I understand we have 3 speakers that are going to address this topic that Barry's going to lead them off. Is that correct? And so when we do that, what I've talked about doing here is giving them their 5 minutes apiece, but they're going to address one topic, so it's 15 minutes in total, and they can distribute that time however they would like. This is then we'll schedule a follow-up work session so we can get the full benefit of their work, which really plays in well. And her time doesn't start until I shut up, or very. But it plays into a strategy that at least Mr. Laska is very familiar with, because we were over in Fort Worth on Friday working on this very related subject. So let's go forward.
Mayor,
Let you start however you
Mayor,
like.
Council, my name's Janet Depew, 633 Parkview, Richardson, 75080. I'm president of the Heights Park Neighborhood Association. I'm also a city plan commissioner and a realtor. The format for this presentation tonight will be the 3 speakers. I'll present an introduction. Barry Hand will carry it forward. He's the president of the Cottonwood Heights Association. And then Andrew Laska will take over. He's president of the Richardson Heights Association.
Great.
First, I want to thank you for letting us present our plan to you this evening. First of all, is a consortium of the 3 neighborhood associations together. We've been working on this all together since March, yes. What is Heights? It's a neighborhood of mid-century homes, businesses, bounded by Coit, Arapahoe, Spring Valley, and Central Expressway, with approximately 3,500 single-family homes, several commercial properties, multifamily developments. Cottonwood Creek runs through our properties, Cottonwood Park, Heights Park, and we also have the Cottonwoods Art Festival. We have approximately $750 million in appraised value, and we have approximately $6 million a year in property tax receipts going to the city. Who is the Heights region? What are we comprised of? Actually, what's old is new again, and our neighborhoods actually are very chic now. We have a prime location surrounded by 3 major freeways. We're very popular. We're comprised of young families with school-aged children, empty nesters, many young single professionals and single professional couples, many retirees and first one homeowner residents, original owners. We have investment property landlords, office tenants, retailers, several schools in our neighborhood, doctors, lawyers, architects, realtors. We have a huge diverse income level and ethnicity. And but why are we here tonight? We're here for a comprehensive and targeted initiative to improve the interior and perimeter areas of the Heights region as a whole. I'll turn it over to Barry. Thank you.
Thank you. As Janet said, it's a targeted initiative, and we want to kind of hang on to that word, initiative. What we're going to present to you tonight has been ratified by the boards of all 3 of our neighborhood associations. We had a first ever joint session among these 3 neighborhood associations Thursday night, and we had a room full at the Eagle's Nest there at the high school, and just generally very, very, very positively received. Everyone was excited. Some people were a little startled by some of the blight that's creeping in. But we don't come to you tonight just to complain. We do have some problems we'd like to address, and that's the point of the initiative. But we also, kind of in the pattern of the plan that came in 2005 out of Southwest Richardson, we come with solutions, and these are solutions that we'd like to partner with the city and city staff to make a few tweaks and also help push for some planning initiatives. What we're going to talk about tonight, if I can get this to move, is basically five areas tonight that are kind of broken into 2 categories. The first one is code enforcement, neighborhood integrity. I'll go deeper into detail, but I kind of want to tell you what I'm going to tell you first. And we're going to talk about roadway and sidewalk, parks. Parks is a big part of this initiative. Zoning, some immediate term zoning things that need to be looked at. We're going to recommend some development moratorium. And then lastly, kind of longer range issue is a strategic vision plan. I know you're doing some work with a consulting firm now, and that's great. We want to throw our weight behind that and then help do what we can to take it further towards a vision. Again, digging deeper into the detail, these are some things we want to bill as action items. You'll see a verb at the beginning of every one of these bullet points. Some of the changes and enhancements that came out of the 2005 plan was quite a few neighborhood integrity changes and initiatives, and those have been wildly successful. I think all of us rise in support of what has been done there. So we thank you for that, and we just say, you know what, just keep doing what you're doing. There are some minor things that hopefully we can talk about in the work session that could be enhanced, but in general here we just say keep doing what you're doing. We talked with the neighborhoods about this Thursday night. You know, we asked the question, how many of you have gotten letters? A lot of people said, yeah, and we said be glad of that because this is about keeping the neighborhood up. Number B here, continue promotion of home improvement incentive program. I've seen some couples and families here in the room tonight. We've got a few friends with us here tonight that have participated in this, and we feel this is a win-win situation for the city. We can talk about more detail on that in the work session next week, hopefully. Item C, continue the aggressive expedited enforcement of against blighted multifamily. We've got some real problems along our southern perimeters and honestly in other areas where we think this has been real successful. And again, for that we thank you. There's already been big fruits come out of that as far as improvement of the neighborhoods. And then also develop, this is something new. We'd like to see a program to match the apartments to be applied against commercial properties. Everyone in this room that lives in a single-family dwelling has oversight from the city, as do now the multifamily owners. There's really no reason that a commercial property shouldn't be asked to live by the same standard. They are here for profit, after all. So those are the 4 items under interior. Code enforcement issues. Number 2 would be just a general initiative about roadway and sidewalk improvement. And this is a little bit shorter, but we'd like to partner with you to complete a physical assessment of our roads, our alleys. We've got some bad alleys, we've got some bad roads. We've actually had some improvements. And segueing into that would be we really need to see a lot of our failed streets replaced. Some of the streets are not only an eyesore, they're dangerous. And we really need to apply some energies and resources to that. We have, actually, while this was being written, the city moved into Cottonwood Heights, I know for sure, to replace most, if not all, of the sidewalk sections that were bad. So, again, low-hanging fruit here, market is done in those particular streets. We've had some alleys replaced lately, and again, that's low-hanging fruit. We'll consider that done. So we just need to keep moving on that. Item C, upgrade all bridges. We've had some good luck with some bridges along Waterview and one along, I think it's Floyd. But we'll show you some detail next week about what's left. The ones down around Waterfall Way and Dumont are still pretty old and, frankly, unsightly. Last item here is implement traffic calming. This is a bit of an emotional issue for the folks who live on streets like Dublin that take immense traffic from the high school. Dublin was never designed to be a feeder for 1,000 students a day, twice. And so we have car traffic and pedestrian traffic that's really beating the road and the neighbors on Dublin up. Floyd has some speed issues. Dumont also has some speed issues. But we just think this is something that needs to be looked at generally across the area. I'm going to let Andrew talk about parks real quick.
Thank you very much. Let me see the remote here. Under parks, we basically have one single initiative, which we think is pretty important. Identify land for the parks master plan to be retrofitted to serve basically the Cottonwood Heights, or Richardson Heights on the eastern end of Cottonwood Heights. One of the issues with that area in particular is that there's no parkland near there. That's the beginning of Heights, starts in 1954, so the houses now are going on 55 years. We're now competing with not only other suburbs, but other parts of Richardson as well. And to make those homes competitive in the future, we think that park space should be there. I would go far as saying this is a personal opinion aside from this presentation. We should do that for every underserved area in Richardson. Not just this area, but it's a good place to start because it's the oldest basic boom development in Richardson. Right now the data pretty much shows, study after study, that parkland near houses helps them hold and maintain their value. So that's one leg out of many legs of a plan like this that can help those homes maintain or even raise their value. Next, let's go to the perimeter. And these are things not necessarily in the neighborhoods themselves, that is defined by the neighborhood association, but in the areas on the edge. That is to say 75, the Spring Valley corridor, which we're talking about studying, as well as up along Beltline. We're concerned with basically a review of land use of the allowable versus future best use along Spring Valley and Beltline. We're concerned, you can see a picture in the background here of this potential doctor's office, which is sort of a halfway redo of that building, which puts a lot of money into the building, which doesn't necessarily add to long-term redevelopment. That building could turn over to be blighted in 10 years, or less than that for that matter. It's not maintained. That's one example of that. There's several other examples, including one that's now on the west side of 75, where a small property is going to be turned into a nightclub, we've learned. At least that's what we understand it's going to be turned into. But the more of these we get in the zone, like Spring Valley and up 75, that are just some money thrown in, the harder it is to leverage everyone out to get real serious redevelopment that benefits the city as a whole. We would like to implement a development moratorium or something like that in the selected zones until we have long-term planning and vision in place. Okay? So in other words, that, moratorium doesn't necessarily stop development. If someone comes in and says, hey, I'm buying 50 acres and we're going to do this, you can always, of course, grant an exception. But it keeps the bad stuff out. Use after use out. We get a few of those in one spot and we're basically stuck. And I will now turn it back over to Barry for point 5.
Point number 5 does stay in the perimeter, and it's a bit of a longer term solution, which we think is the ultimate solution for reinforcing what are very valuable single-family neighborhoods. There's nothing about what we're talking about here that would in any way be intended to undermine the single-family neighborhoods. We know that one of the greatest economic engines in Richardson is its single-family neighborhoods, and we would never suggest that that be eroded or, frankly, even changed. This is about reinforcing the perimeter of those single-family neighborhoods and enhancing their value. So under this category, it's, like Andrew said, just one particular action item. We'd like to see the council commission a full strategic vision redevelopment plan for all of those perimeter corridors. And some of the comments that came out Thursday night were, well, why not do this for the whole city? In other words, take the 7 enhancement zones. Yes, we're in support of that as well. But because we only represent these 3 HOAs and neighborhood associations, we would not presume that others would want it, but we would like to state that we do. We're very much in favor of some form of large plan, large idea, big idea for what's going to happen with Spring Valley, 75, and Beltline. That it would generate hype in the development community. It would promote redevelopment. The development community would say, hey, something's going on in Richardson, and we think this just expedites the solution. And we know you're working with a consultant now, which I think is the right thing to do, a market consultant. And this is something I was able to hear Tom Leppert speak a few weeks ago as a part of Leadership Dallas, and he made the point that in all cities, it's normally the citizens in the northern or the more affluent areas that have more at stake in say the southern sectors than anyone, because if certain neighborhoods are left to flounder and ultimately go into blight, the costs of services, which will never going to go down, as you would agree, will fall on the rooftops of fewer and fewer houses. We think doing this is good business. We published a little bit tonight about what we think are the approximate values, and to erode that value from the city treasury would be quite foolish. So we think in general the entire approach here is good for our area, but we think it's good for the entire city. We had representatives from other HOAs at our meeting Thursday night. We've spoken with other groups in the city, and everyone agrees that this is good business. There's been a few questions about the details, but that's good. That's what thinking people do. But in general, the initiative to reinforce our perimeters is always going to be good business. As we said earlier, we would like to schedule a time to meet with you, to allow you to ask questions and have some dialogue. We think that's definitely necessary. And that's, I think, our presentation for the evening. Right. Thank you for having us, and we look forward to meeting with you possibly next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you to all of you. This is the timing is excellent because, as you know, we've hired a consultant, and that consultant will work with us not only on what the market might be, but also on visioning. And that whole process has kicked off last week. We spent the day Friday in Fort Worth working with a consultant our consultant has worked all over the country, but has also worked in Fort Worth. And we were able to see where the visioning process that they started 9 years ago has taken them to this point. And, it's a large city with a lot of areas that need help. And they've done a great job of involving the community. So what I'd like to do is I want to, we as a city council do want to have this dialogue you're talking about. We'd like to integrate, some of the things don't necessarily, that you have here don't apply to what they're going to be doing, which we can do in terms of capital improvement on streets, alleys, and things of that nature. But I think the whole perimeter study and the vision for what is going to happen in that area is exactly what we're working with them on. I'd like to schedule that meeting, if next week in a work session would be great. I'd like these two consultants, though, to come and be a part of that, because where they will normally try to reach out and find a group that they can work with, that group's natural. It's right here, and you're here tonight. So I think you guys have put in place something that really can help us get this kick-started. So if, Mr. Keffler, if you could find out whether they would be available and we can get this on next week, I really would like to do that. If it doesn't work, let's do it as quickly as we can, but next week would certainly be a preference.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
could we also ask them for a hard copy of what they presented here tonight? Or is it on your website?
They have it on the
Oh, you have
computer.
it?
We can get that from
Very
them.
good.
But
Thank you
it's
very much.
it was an excellent overview, and I know you have a lot of detail, and we really appreciate what you've done. So thank you much. Really appreciate it. All right, next visitor.
Our next speaker is Joe Russum, 1102 Pueblo.
Okay. Sir.
Good evening. A number of the members of the Richardson Coalition have had an opportunity to preview the presentation, the detailed presentation that you just heard.
Oh, you saw the whole thing.
And we're supportive of what the city has been doing in Spring Valley area to date. And we encourage the council to review the group's ideas and concepts. And we believe that what's good for the Cottonwood Heights area is good for Richardson as a whole.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russum. All right. Do we have any other visitors?
Those are all we have, Mayor.
Well, thank you for being here. I know a lot of you are here for this reason. Others are here for the hearing we have coming up. But this is very important initiative, and we really appreciate the leadership of the Three Homeowners Association to step out and get something moving. And I think it really dovetails well within what we're doing. So we will see you as soon as we can. Hopefully that'll be next week. Thanks. Okay.